So here we're going to solve this problem where it's asking the absolute value of x is 2. And they want to know what is x. So first off, just to remind you, absolute value is the distance from 0. So if the absolute value of some number is 2, it's either going to be this way 2, it's going to be 2, or it's going to be to the left 2, so it's going to be negative 2. But the way you do it using these steps that will work for any sort of absolute value problem is you think, okay, what's in the absolute value here? You isolate the absolute value. What's in there is either going to be the positive or the negative of what's on the right side. So it's either going to be negative 2 or positive 2. And then you put your answer in a solution set. So let's look at another one. Again, whatever is in the absolute value, you want it all by itself on one side of the equal sign, which it is. Then you can remove that absolute value symbol and say, if the absolute value of something is 40, it must be equal to 40 or negative 40, because it's saying the distance away from 0 is 40. So we solve both of these equations. I divide by 5. I see that z equals 8 or z equals negative 8. So in this case, it's the same number. One is positive, one is negative. Those are our two answers. Solution sets are always kind of pointy parentheses like that. They're called brackets. If we look at this one here, what has the absolute value symbol always has to be on its own. It always has to be isolated, and it is. So now we can remove that absolute value symbol. And if the absolute value of something is 8, that means it's either 8 or it's positive 8, because it's the distance from 0. So it's either going to the right 8 or to the left 8, which is negative 8. So now we solve both of these. So if I subtract 1 from both sides, I see that d is 7. And in this case, when I subtract 1 from both sides, I see that d is negative 9. So it's not always going to be the positive and negative of the same digit. So in this case, it's negative 9 and 7. All right, and this one, what's inside the absolute value is not isolated. We need to just have absolute value alone on this side, so we need to move this plus 2. So we're just going to subtract 2. So we have c plus 4, absolute value c plus 4 equals 10. Now that it's by itself, we take what's inside that absolute value, and we say, okay, if the absolute value is 10, that means that that must equal 10 or negative 10. And we solve both of those. So we get c equals 6 or c equals negative 14. And put those again in your solution set. And that's it.